Hey YouTubers, it's Valerie with Money Mindset Coach, and this this particular video, um, I basically am talking about this because I have been a realtor. I've worked for home builders, and I've seen people buy the brand new homes. I've seen people buy the existing homes. And with the election coming up, I don't know. I just have to speak my mind a little bit on this $25,000 down payment that Kamala wants to give to people. I went to her website and I was reading, there's all different chapters on all the different things that she can't go into in depth when she's doing an interview, which is obvious why she can't do that. But the $25,000 down payment assistance is something that, of all the things that she's talked about, that's the one thing that, I have a house. I'm not looking to buy, but my oldest son would like to buy a house. And he's very interested in what this is and how this works. On her website, and then I went to another site that talked a little bit more about it. And basically, as with anything, when it comes to $25,000 down payment assistance, that is going to involve income levels. It could be geographic locations of where this is and where this is happening. I started working in existing home sales back in 2009 when we had the $8,000 tax credit. And that was all there to get people out there in the market to buy a house. Well, what happened in 2004, 2005, 2006, it was pretty crazy. I remember there were no documentation loans. They didn't verify any of your information. You said you made 50,000, you made 100,000. They took you at your word. And they gave loans to people who should never have gotten a loan. That's why we ended up with all the foreclosures and the short sales. We were in a mess because they had loaned money to anyone, everyone and anyone who wanted to buy a house. And the thing that I think a lot of people just lose sight of is, there could be this $25,000 down payment assistance, and saving up that kind of money for a down payment on a house is not an easy thing to do. It definitely is not an easy thing to do. But to have $25,000 handed to you, there's too many things that we just don't know. It's like, okay, because everybody who goes to buy a house has to qualify for a certain amount. You know, if you're making $100,000 a year, you could probably afford a $250,000 house. You know, I mean, you have to look at it as paying no more than 30% for your house payment. But you know, a lot of times what people are looking at, they're looking at the house payment where it's got the property taxes and the interest and the principal, all those things that go into the loan. But what a lot of people who buy houses don't realize is that there's way more to owning a house than there is to renting one. When you rent one and the roof needs to be replaced, as a renter, you're not the one that's going to be paying for that new roof. It's the person who owns that house. It's your landlord who's going to be paying for that. And nowadays, it's crazy, but with homeowners insurance, there are drones that are flying over people's houses, looking at their roof and saying, "You need a new roof. We're going to drop you if you don't put a new roof on your house." Well, what if these people had gotten this $25,000 down payment assistance? They got into a house that's 150, 200,000, and the homeowner's insurance company flies over the house and tells you, "You've got to get a new roof." And I've had new roofs put on. The house that I had before this one, we put a new roof on it. I think it was 10,000, 13,000. Well, these people who bought this house, all of a sudden, they got to buy another roof. The furnace goes. The air conditioning unit goes. I mean, there are some pretty expensive things that are part of owning a house that can go wrong. I had plumbing done in my bathtub because I had the cold water faucet just wouldn't turn off. And so I had a plumber come and they put a whole new thing for my hot water and my cold water, and it was $1,000. So these people who get this $25,000 down payment, they get into this house, are they going to have the emergency fund to pay for this kind of stuff? Are they going to financially be where they need to be able to, home ownership is a whole lot more than just that mortgage payment that is made every month for 30 years. There's way more to it than that. And I just think that back in the early 2000s, 2005, prices were sky high. Anybody who bought a house during that time paid too much. Way too much. And then they ended up losing it to foreclosure or a short sale. It was a mess because there were people who got loans that should never have bought a house. So right now, we don't know what the eligibility is. Okay, take the $25,000 down payment assistance out of it. Just you being Joe Schmo who wants to buy a house. You're going to go into the bank. You're going to give them tax returns, pay stubs. There's all kinds of stuff that lenders ask for when you're buying a house. You probably feel like you're given blood. You can end up feeling like that sometimes with everything that they're wanting. This $25,000 down payment assistance, we still don't know who is eligible for that. Is it income levels? My son, who would love to get this $25,000 down payment assistance, I have a feeling he makes too much. Because they look at median household for a family of four, or they look at you as you yourself and what you make, and if it's just you, they look at that too. And there's just so many variables that go into it, that where I really think that when it's all said and done, this $25,000 down payment assistance, I just don't see it as there being a boatload of people who are going to be able to take advantage of that. I just don't see it. I really don't. This house that I'm in right now is the only house that I ever went into the right way. I had 20% down. I had an emergency fund. I had all those things. But there are so many people that move into houses that are too expensive because the bank will give you, they will probably loan you 2.5 times what your annual income is, just because they're telling you that that is the amount that you qualify for. That doesn't necessarily mean that you should buy a house that expensive. They don't know. I have talked about him before, but Caleb Hammer, financial audit. I watch him every week, and he has really opened up the whole idea of, because he goes through people's finances and he calls it BS spending, because you would not believe the things that people spend money on. Botox, pedicures, manicures, clothes, so many things that are not needs. They're not needs. If you cut out for, say, 6 months and you just spent what on needs only, meaning your housing, if you're renting, you're paying your rent, you're paying your car payment, you're paying for your insurance, your groceries, your utilities, the needed things, the things you need to live. That's it. What if you just did that for 6 months? Paid off your debt. You really shouldn't get into a house if you've got astronomical credit card debt. If you have a car debt, you don't really want to be getting into a house. You want to get into a house when you are debt free, when you have 20% to put down. You can put 5, you can put 10. Actually, I mean, she talks about this $25,000 down payment assistance, if you were, okay, if you were buying a $250,000 house times 3.5. I don't know if that's right. I'm trying to figure out, because with FHA, you can put down more than 3.5%, but you don't have to. So I'm going to say, okay, 3.5% on 250. Okay. Okay. So basically, if you are buying a $250,000 house and you're doing an FHA loan, you only have to put down 3.5%. 3.5% on 250,000 is 8,750. I know that she talks about, she talks about the 25,000. I think it's actually up to 25,000. Maybe certain people who are buying, I mean, what if somebody's buying $100,000 house? Are they going to get 25,000 to put down? It's like, I don't know. There's just too much of this that isn't clear to me. And I'm thinking that maybe it's not clear to you either. It's too, there aren't enough specifics. Now, I do believe that we need more housing. We need more apartments built. We need more houses built. We need that. Because real estate is all about supply and demand. So if you have a high demand and you don't have a lot of supply, your prices are going to be high. If you've got a ton of supply, but you don't have very many people looking, prices will be lower. It's all about supply and demand. And right now, I don't think we have enough. We don't have enough supply for everybody who wants to rent or buy. There's just not enough out there. Now, I do know that there's incentives or something that they're giving to builders. And I have friends who are actually in the building business that I think I'm going to talk about and see what they have heard about this. Because there's just, I don't know, there's not enough specifics out there. And yeah, there's a ton of people that would love to get $25,000 down payment assistance. But I got to tell you that when you work hard and you save that money yourself, which it is the hardest thing you'll do, but it will be the most meaningful thing that you can do, is saving up that saving up that down payment. And like I just showed you, 250,000, 8,700 is what you would have to put down to get an FHA loan on a $250,000 house. So buying a house is not out of reach for a lot of people. You know, if you're making $100,000 a year and you cut out the BS spending, you know, you're not going to movies, you're not going out to eat, you're not going on vacation. Say you took a year and you just took all of that out of there and just decided, okay, we're going to save. We're going to save for this house. How could you do that? Now, on this channel, I talk about being out of debt, having an emergency fund. Then you save for the down payment. Now, there's a lot of people out there don't want to do it that way. You want to get into that house. You want a house of your own. I did it. I did that. We got into houses that were not expensive. We never ended up buying a really expensive house. Even the last one that we, as being married, we bought $100,000 house, and we made $114,000 the year that we bought that house. Well, not too many people in this day and age buy a house that costs less than what you made in a year. But because we did that, we were never house poor. We were never stressing about the house payment, because I'm telling you, we could have bought a house that was $250,000, and instead of having $800, $900 payment, we would have probably had a $1,500 payment, maybe even $1,700. It all depends on the interest rate that you get. That's the other thing that you got to think about. Interest rates have come down a little bit. I've got a 3.75 on this house, and I don't know if we'll ever see that again. But back in the early 80s, interest rates were 18% on a house. And you would have thought nobody in their right mind was going to buy a house with an 18% interest rate. But they did. That's the thing that I learned being in real estate. No matter what the market, there are always sellers and there are always buyers. The number is going to be different depending on what else is going on in the world. But there are always houses for sale and there are always buyers. So the market can be slow. The market can be crazy. The market can be nuts. And owning a house is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But it's not everything. And not everybody is ready. And I know that the people who end up getting this 25% down payment assistance, are they going to be really ready for home ownership? Do they know how much it can really cost you to own a house? I don't know. Especially, this is going to be first-time home buyers. So they've never owned a house before. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And I have been there. I didn't know either. I thought, I just want this house. I want this house to be mine. The fact is, when you have a loan on a house, the house really doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the bank. They're the ones you're paying. The best thing that you can do is get your house paid off. Now, the next house payment that I pay on this house, I will owe $49,000. And in this day and age, with the price of houses and what this house is worth now, that's pretty darn good. It's not a paid off house, but I have a lot of equity in this house. If I had to sell it, I would come away with some money. That's also the reason that VA loans. I mean, I know it's 0% down, but the fees are very high. And if you pay too much for that house, you're underwater right from the beginning. That down payment gives you some equity if you don't pay too much for the house itself. There's just so many things that get into buying a house, selling a house. It was my business for a lot of years. And this $25,000 down payment assistance has got me puzzled. So that's the thing that means the most to me, because being in that business for as long as I was, I don't have enough info. I really don't. And we'll see what happens, because right now we do not know. We don't know who has won yet. We have early voting, but please vote. Please be informed. Understand what you're voting for, and get out there and vote. I think that's all I have to say. Like I always say, like, subscribe, share, comment if you found value in this. I know I've rambled a little bit, but I just really have some questions about this, and maybe some of you do too. So anyway, use it up, wear it out, make it do without. Till next time, bye.